Our last presenter for today is OLUWABUNMI Bernard, who comes to us from the Department of Linguistics and African Languages at Obafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria. Her research here at University of Michigan has focused on morality and sexuality and Yoruba so-called lampooning songs, and she's worked here at Michigan together with Professor OLUWABUNMI from the Department of Afro-American and African Studies. OLUWABUNMI.
Dave, is this on? Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Because I don't have pockets to put the
Yeah, so you'll just have to make sure you stay with the microphone and not walk.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is OLUWABUNMI Bernard, and can you hear me? Okay, because I'm going to be reading, so I want to be sure everybody can hear me. So thank you for having me. My research is titled, Lend Me Your Penis, Sex and Sexuality in Yoruba Lampooning Songs. So growing up in a Yoruba society, particularly in Akure, one of the towns selected for this study, I have come to notice that sexual-related discourse was restricted in public spaces. Oh, is it working? Oh, God. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Anything related to sex and sex organs were spoken of indirectly. They do this not because there is absence of sex in Yoruba oral literature, but because both sex and sex organs are considered sacred and so must not be spoken of lightly. Sex organs are highly revered because they are tied to Yoruba religious worldview. Issues bordering on sex and sex organs have always been considered a private affair and as a discussion that is only proper between married adults in the privacy of their room, as Abo here has noted. Now, I'll quickly explain the picture. So this is Eshu, the Yoruba intercessor deity. We find sculptures like this, which is tied to Yoruba religious experience, and you always would see Eshu with this elongated, pinna-like looking, that. And the other one is Ogun, the Yoruba deity of iron warfare and hunting. So I was walking through the University of Michigan Museum of Art a couple of months ago, and voila, found this. And I didn't notice quickly, this is Ogun's axe, and Ogun is one of the principal deities in Yoruba cosmology. And then when I took a closer look at the handle of the axe, and what did I find? That. So it's always obvious in the Yoruba religious experience. They just don't want to talk about it. So in the Yoruba culture, sex organs, like I said, are truly sacred because they are believed to be created to contain some fluid. Am I? Okay. Head upside down, having no cock. And to the Yoruba, this is worth saluting and propitiating. This is why in Iwi Egungun, an Egungun chant, which is, this is Egungun masquerade, so it's always beautifully and multicolored dressed. And so a genre of Yoruba oral literature like this and many others have homage, Iba, as is paid to female and male sex organs. And this is from Ibi Egungun. I salute the penis that stands upside down without dripping. I pay homage to the vagina that faces down without bleeding. Now, the sex organs mentioned in the excerpts above are biologically configured to drip and bleed in the case of the penis during and or after sexual activities, and the vagina during monthly shedding of blood from the uterine lining. The ability of these organs to perform these functions only when they need to, without succumbing to gravitational force, to drip or bleed, even though their openings face down, is why they are well regarded. Many things are considered sacred among the Yoruba, in the Yoruba traditional religion: deities, divinities, parents, spirits, masters, and of course, male and female sex organs. So proper respect must be accorded. Then one wonders why these revered organs are publicly shamed. One answer is only the offender's sex organs are shamed. The other answer is also that lampooning rituals are social criticism that serve as a social control of socially unaccepted behaviors. So lampooning songs are an intrinsic aspect of lampooning rituals, or purification rites, as Parinda refers to them in his African traditional religion. Pedalsy also writes that religion is polysemic. Different people interpret the same rituals in divergent ways. So ritual is very important to the Yoruba because it is embedded in mythology as well as in the development of the Yoruba word. In most cultures around the world, I'm trying to, I'm trying to pace myself. In most cultures around the world, ritual go hand in hand with songs. Hence, song is attached to a particular ritual. Songs attached to a particular ritual may assist in its interpretation. Lampooning songs cut across cultures from Europe to Africa. Among the Yoruba in Nigeria, these rituals are seen to benefit everyone because such practices are considered as a sexual type of protection. Protection is needed against a variety of indiscretions people commit in their daily lives, things done deliberately, things done unintentionally, and general acts that are beyond one's control. So lampooning ritual helps, and they are used during specific days that are set aside annually for this cleansing rite. So during lampooning ritual, there is freedom of speech given to the performers who, when they sing lampooning songs. When these songs are sung, town folks are free to speak their minds about misdeeds of their neighbors without the fear of insult or harm. The semantic content of the lyrics and context of performing lampooning songs varies and depends upon the purpose they need to serve. Such situations may require lampooning songs that address stealing, bad leadership, irresponsibility, bad parenting, or laziness. Lampooning songs selected in this study contain sexualized lyrics and are used to shame people of all gender and sexual identities when they act promiscuously. This study addresses questions such as why would the Yoruba publicly celebrate sex organ, and sexuality when their culture has strict protocols for modesty? How do lampooning songs work to instill an accepted cultural morality? What role do gender and sexual expression play in the performance of lampooning songs? And how does such shaming culture fit into the contemporary Yoruba society? I answered these questions in sections of this article. I've already drafted the article. For example, the title, Lend Me Your Penis, which is derived from OLUWABUNMI's song, focuses on sexuality as the basis for women's capability to translate sexual power into religion and political power. So, data for this study originated from origin of the Yoruba. The Yoruba is not just an ethnic group, but a confederation of people with a shared ethnic group. Now, that with a shared ethnic heritage. Now, that's like Professor Ampene already said. It's Nigeria. In Nigeria, there are 3 major ethnic groups. We have the Yorubas, the Igbos, and the Hausas, who have very different cultures. So this study is based on the Yoruba in Nigeria. So the Yoruba, like I said, Yoruba refers to the people and the language. Studies have shown that Yoruba is mostly widely spoken outside Nigeria, and Africa is one of the most widely spoken languages outside of Nigeria, with over 50 million speakers worldwide. And they populate 6 states in southwest Nigeria. The 6 states are Ekiti, Lagos, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, and Oyo, containing numerous towns, cities, and villages. And these cities, towns, and villages all have forms through which lampooning rituals are performed. Unfortunately, civilization and expansion of cities and towns have made monitoring people's actions a daunting task. This has caused a stoppage in the performance of this ritual in most places, except in few areas and towns where these towns selected for this study. The towns that selected for these studies are Ile-Ife, Ibadan, Ondo, and Akure. They have found a way to adapt the Lampooning Festival into an ever-changing society to ensure its continuity. And even though these towns are far apart, there are similarities in the performance and the themes of the Lampooning songs, especially the ones that contain sexualized lyrics. Some of the similarities include songs that teach abstinence from sex to pubescents in the hope that they are well informed to fight off unwanted sexual attention from pedophiles and become responsible adults who are not promiscuous. Okay. So in Yoruba culture, sex education is rarely given to children. by their parents. It is almost non-existent because it is an uncomfortable conversation between them. Whenever they could no longer avoid the topic, women are the ones saddled with the job no one wanted. That is educating children about sex. And naturally, mother would only give sex education to children during puberty as warning. I remember when I hit puberty, and I had to ask my mom for sanitary pads. It was the most uncomfortable conversation I've ever had with my mom. It was a long conversation, and it was mostly warning of the tendency of me getting pregnant if I allowed anybody to touch me. I was a late bloomer, so I didn't hit puberty until I was around 15 years old. I completely understood everything my mom was finding hard to tell me, because I already studied them in my biology classes, and I attended the boarding school, so I had witnessed how girls experience puberty and the changes that happen to them. But I had no intention of letting her off the conversation easily. After she had warned me about not allowing anybody to touch me to avoid pregnancy, I informed her that I had been touched earlier that day by a boy, and that he was not the first one to touch me. That I've been touched by many boys before him. And I think I saw the light left my mom's eyes. Like, she almost passed out. It was, okay. Yeah, so it was when I explained to her that these boys were my classmates who touched me during classes, or who had to touch me to call my attention to things, that my mom recovered from her shock. It is not uncommon to find mothers struggle with sex education like my mom, and lampooning songs through lampooning ritual is an avenue for communal sex education for children like me. The Yoruba have always engaged in communality, which Bondarenko opines that has always remained, okay, I'm still here. I'm sorry, has remained basic institution in Africa. It is the core of social life, which also determines the specificity of African authentic worldview and spirituality. Their belief in communality is grounded in Yoruba proverb that says, a child may be born by 2 parents, but 200 parents train the child, which means proper training of a child is a communal effort. Naturally, because this communality and the fact that women are the most visible during performances of lampooning songs, songs that teach abstinence from premarital sex are common, like this. A child that was born yesterday is requesting sex. The cry is continuous. The cry is frequent. What will you do with it? This excerpt is drawn from Opekwe's song from Mundo. The song serves 2 purposes here. First, it discourages premarital sex among prepubescents, and second, it lampoons engaging in premarital sex. The importance of communality is seen here, as it publicly teaches the young people who participate in the festival abstinence from premarital sex. And apart from this, lampooning songs teach children to speak up and teach children how to refute unsolicited sexual advances. These songs encourage them to speak up against pedophiles, like this one. An older man requesting sex from me. He will be humiliated. He, his tiny penis and his shrunken scrotum will indeed be humiliated. Pedophilia is having sexual feelings directed at children. The Yoruba are not oblivious of this, and that adults have perversion, that some adults have sexual perversion for children. So they teach children to fight these things off. And ridiculing sex is also a device that the Yoruba used to call promiscuity, which they believe can cause disease harmful to human health. Even though they know a sturdy penis is vital in the process of procreation, they see it as the ultimate reason. They still insist on the need to have self-control when it comes to sex matters. In the excerpt below, this is from Ogunbirin, and this is where my title comes out. So it's not, so the title is not my idea, it comes from my data. So, man with a sturdy penis, lend me your penis to tie my end, okay? So it's not me. Lend me your penis to secure my end. Promiscuous woman, it will be done soon. It will be done soon. I would have tried to explain this, but Enrique is flashing me the time. So this song, actually, I'll just go to the second part. So the song is just talking about how women, it's a political power play, really, gender power play for women, Because in a society that sees vagina as superior to penis, these women are just trying to say, oh, really? Okay, we are the ones who actually control how these things go. So, but I don't want to get into it. So the study has drawn from how social criticism serves as a control of socially unacceptable behavior for cultures around the world, from sexualized lyrics in the orature of A.D. Okebadan, Oran Fianogo Benin festivals among the Yoruba of Southwest Nigeria. It discusses how these selected orature are devices deployed by society for enforcing morals and ethical values through publicly shaming sex offenders. And thank you. Yeah. So I want to, this is my acknowledgement, it's a long list. I want to thank my host for his nomination, because without his nomination, I will not be here. So thank you so much, and for his comments and feedback in the drafting of my, drafting of the article. And Professor Naomi, okay. Our meetings, I can't. Thank you so much for everything and for the encouragement. And of course, Professor Fick, she reads a lot. And she's an editor, so it shows, because she corrects every word, dots every I, and crosses every T. And yeah, Professor Ampene, I think he was one of the first person I met when I came, and his comments really helped me in structuring the work. And here I see Enrique, Andres, Kathy, you guys are the best. And your support, your encouragement, it's beyond what I can even start. And then the staff of the DAS. I don't know. Alfred, everybody always coming to the office, because I always work late. Sometimes I'm in the office till 10, and they always just stop by to say hello. And Mr. Wayne Highmore is the best. Thank you, everyone. Then the UMAPS fellows, thank you so much. You are the best. Your family to me.
Thank you. So we do have time for some questions. And Alfred, somebody throw oh, you have a cube already. Yeah, that side. So just, yeah, where you're there, just a little close to your face. I don't think it's on.
Great presentation, really enjoyed it. But
Take it easy.
it's an error. So the idea that society is constantly evolving, right? We talked about the freedom between a mom and a child, and how in Yoruba culture, the idea of parenting is a communal thing. How much of that is true today? How much of that is true in 2021? How many people take their kids to these festivals, right? So I'm not Yoruba, but I'm almost Yoruba adjacent, because I grew up in Benin, which is very close to Yoruba areas, and those two tribes or ethnic groups have had a long shared history. I never went to any of these festivals. And I know some of them happened, like very similar festivals. And so sex education for me was a private thing done in my house with my mom and dad, right? And so I guess my question is, in 2021, how are parents sort of engaging in the end goal of the process, which is sex education, and how might they be incorporating some of these more traditional methods and means in having those conversations?
Oh, thank you. That's one of the things I addressed in the work. This is just a summary of it. So this is 2021. I have kids, and I really, when I was growing up, during Christmas, we would take food to neighbors. It's very important to us, because when we take food to neighbors, we get money. So we always excited to take food to them, because we know we'll get money. But now, no. I'm not letting my boys take food to any neighbor, because they may just, not come back. And two, people are too suspicious these days of their neighbors. They will not even eat from the next door neighbor. So things have changed. I mentioned that I think that's one of the downsides of the civilization, the advent of global religion like Christianity and Islam into the culture. It actually, they see devil in everything. Not the issue that I showed you, because issue is not the devil. But they see the biblical devil, the evil in everyone. So everyone is suspicious of their neighbors, and rightly so. Everywhere in the world, security is winding down every day. So you have to know that people are very cautious. Still, these festivals still happen, and people attend. The pictures I showed from you are current pictures. They are not pictures from 1980. People still partake in these festivals because to them it's part of the culture, it's part of their religious experience, and it actually does help. Because if you are able to attend the festivals, it's maybe not as easily as they would do it in the past, but still, you will get information that you probably would, if you have someone bothering you, for example, it's not easy for you to just say, oh, this man has been bothering me, he's trying to, he's been making sexual advances towards me, but during the festivals, all bets are off. You can do anything and get away with it. So if, unfortunately for that man, if he attends that festival, even if he doesn't attend it, you can mention his name and sing about it. So people are very, very wary of what they do, because if they live around these towns during these festivals, people till tomorrow will call their names and call them out in the public. So it still helps. Not as grand as it used to, but it's still there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I have a sort of quirky question. Given the silence about sexuality and sexual matters, how did your university in Nigeria even, how did they react to just your title even?
I know.
Because, even in so-called, kind societies that talk about these matters, it's still not talked about publicly like this. We don't walk around saying penis and vagina. And how did people react? Thanks.
Thank you. Well, it's the same reaction I've been getting even from my fellow UMAPS scholars. They would not let me be. It's uncomfortable as it can be, but I think having worked on, this is not a new research for me. I've been working on sexuality for like 3-4 years. Part of the data for this data came from my PhD. So I'm already used to that. Okay, this is my research, I deal with it. But it always makes people uncomfortable. And yeah, what are we academics if we don't make people uncomfortable with our research? Good, uncomfortable, not bad, uncomfortable. The seminar I had earlier this year, where a professor sent this to me, he said, when I think 99% of the attendees were men. We were like, what are you thinking? The professor will still meet you tomorrow and he'll be like, why that title? Why are you trying to learn borrow someone's penis? I'm like, it's not me, it's my data. I just think it would be memorable if I made part of my data my title. That is why. So this is not, that was the first thing I said when I was presenting. This is not from me, this is from my data. So everyone is still uncomfortable. And yeah, it's sex and sexuality is always a very, very uncomfortable issue to speak about. So they are uncomfortable as anyone here. Yeah.
And I think, yeah, we were uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about these topics. And I wonder, how you have a conversation with your mother about your research. So
No,
we have time
it.
for one last question. We have questions on Zoom. So let's first take a Zoom question. Kwasi, I hope we can get to you. Depends on the Zoom questions. Enrico.
Thank you, OLUWABUNMI. This is a question from Ngunjiri Njirangu, who's joining us from Kenya, and he asks the following. In Kenya, early pregnancy and sexual abuse are very high in some areas, especially during the COVID-19 lockdown. Do you think that sex education can help reduce this in the future?
Well, thank you. Sexual violence is always I think it's more uncomfortable than talking about sex. Yeah. So for me, it's and as a woman from a highly patriarchal society, because believe it or not, I come from a culture that favors men over women most of the time, and it's evident in how you want more male children than female children. Well, Fortunately for me, I wanted girls, but I got boys. I don't know what to do with that, but I'm just saying sexual violence, most women would say, women are the ones who can teach our male children how to respect the female bodies. No means no. Your no, are you saying yes? No. No means no. So I think sex education, if we are able to teach male children to respect that a woman's body is only hers. It does not, because we are married, does not belong to you and I, it belongs to me. Yes, we have, Christianity would say we have now become one body. No, we are two separate beings, and we have two separate bodies. You should be able to, you should respect the body of your wife no matter how much you think you have access to her body. So I think that, yes, sex education for boys from when they are young would help them grow into better men who will respect the bodies of their women. Thank you.
So, yes to that. Kwasi, I think you get the last question, if you can keep it short.
Yes, thank you. And that's why I didn't want to, be the guy on top of everything all the time. So I wanted others to have the others in. But Dr. Wumi, and I refer to her as Dr. No. She knows why I call her Dr. No.
No, I don't.
Thank you very much for this enlightening presentation. So it's a comment for you to think about as you develop your work. Most parts of this presentation will sound like funny and make us laugh or grinch a little bit. You don't want your readers or your audience to forget about the spirituality, the religiosity that you showed us at first. Those Ogun and then the sculptures that you show, because when they transfer those things into the sculptures, it's not just for a joke.
No.
It's not for comedic effect or anything. No. It's got religious resonances. And those religious resonances, you will do very, very well if you can really, really go in to dig out those religious resonances. Oh, sorry, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you.
So it's just a recommendation for you.
Thank you.
Else, a lot of people will be laughing, give me your pennies and everything. Yeah, that's fine. And there are a lot of African sculptures where they are showing the phallic symbol and doing all kinds of things, but there are religious undertones. All right. And then number two, because this is in my area, music, right? The fact that a critique is sanctioned by the act of music, by the power of music, that is another area where you really, really want to also delve into. Very, very well, and you will need ethnomusicological tools, okay? Else, people will just read your stuff and just laugh, but you've touched on very, very, very important aspects in African culture, right? Yes, so think about this. I'm not going to, but either than that, thank you very much for bringing this up.
Thank you very much, sir. And okay, that is the last question.
Do you want to
so
comment on that?
Yes, of course. I said earlier, I have a draft already, and it's not something I can do justice to within the time I have to do this. So I only picked certain aspects of the research, but what you have said, I was trying to signal Daniel to get me a pen so I can take note, but I think I can still. Okay, so he took notes for me, so thank you very much, and thank you to everyone on the Zoom. I know it's like 10 o'clock in Nigeria, and people are tuned in, so thank you, everyone. And thank you, Dave, for giving me this option instead of my pockets. Thank you so much, everyone.